onset of COVID was absolutely ridiculous. No one really knew what we were dealing with at the time.
The virus was brand new. We were learning more about it practically on an hourly basis. And a lot of the issues related to safety were best guesses.
We were kind of overwhelmed and concerned, more of our family and our loved ones, because you don't really know much about the COVID at that time.
I think in the beginning we were all very terrified because we didn't know what to expect from it.
At the onset of COVID, I think the biggest change for staff was the fact that everything that we routinely did suddenly came to a halt. We really had to shift all of our efforts over to COVID testing because that's really what our patients were demanding.
And I remember the medical directors coming in and pretty much telling me, you have a week, get your test up, let's go.
We had the whole community appropriately scared, wanting to be tested. At one point, we were doing more than 1/5 of the COVID testing for the state. We spanned from Washington, D.C., all the way to Alaska.
We ended up testing up to 6,000 samples a day, which is an unsurmountable amount of tests. And we didn't really know how we could actually do that physically and mentally.
We did have people working extra hours. We shifted people around, we moved people. You didn't just work your one bench assignment. You worked in other areas to help everybody out.
Everybody wanted to be a part of it. We had people in our lab who were stepping up to help in ways that we don't normally do.
Several of us in chemistry pitched in and helped with that, making kits in our downtime or coming in early, staying late.
People were coming in 2 hours early before their shift, staying 2 hours late or after the shift. The amount of overtime and the commitment they had to their patients and to their people was extraordinary.
We saw people from places like anatomic pathology or chemistry come to the molecular lab and say, whatever I need to do, I want to help.
Everybody just kind of stepped up because we all understood the importance of what we were doing here.
Our testing turnaround time was nothing less than exceptional. We generally turned testing around within 12 hours or less, even at the peak times when other laboratories were taking days to get testing completed. You generally got your test result within the same day.
We had patients that were rolling into the ED and we were turning around their results, in some cases before the provider even got a chance to see the patient. So we were really actively focusing on ensuring that patient had a great experience and ensuring that our providers had the information that they needed in a timely manner.
When you think about the sacrifice that our teams made and our staff in WDL, the first thing you need to realize is that when they touch COVID specimens, those COVID specimens are also infectious. So they are on the front line.
We're helping the doctors get results for the patients. So driving through a snowstorm, which I did plenty this winter, and trying to get them back so that the doctors can diagnose their patients without having to ship them off to the hospital if needed.
I think that there is a greater appreciation for the lab after all this is over. We were really kind of the unsung heroes for the longest time. Now we're starting to see a lot more recognition in the public.
I think after the pandemic, if I say I'm a lab tech, I'm a med lab scientist, people understand it a little more, which is nice.
I see this pandemic really did put lab in the forefront of healthcare. Everybody was waiting on a test result. That was on the news constantly. And we received a lot of recognition for the fact that we really improved patient care within our community with the ability to turn this testing around very quickly.
It was a remarkable thing to have this period of time where we were in the spotlight for what we were doing well.
We saw families and people that aren't engaged in healthcare at all recognize the importance of not only quality results, but also timely results. So the community also got it, how important lab testing is.
Everybody knows, oh, you worked in the lab, you do the COVID test. But it's not just COVID tests, it's diagnosing cancers, it's monitoring people who have diabetes, and there's so much more to the laboratories. We're just doing our jobs to the best of our abilities to take care of our patients, so that way then they can have better outcomes in the future.
Behind every test that they have, there's a group of people who work really, really hard, who they never see, to make sure that they get the best results they can, the fastest they can, to really help them in that way.